My beloved child, stop right where you are. I know where you have been. I know the road you have traveled, the choices that took you further and further from what you knew was true, from who you knew you were, from the home you left behind. I know what the far country looked like when you arrived. The freedom of it, the relief of being away from the weight of expectation, the intoxicating sense of finally being on your own terms. And I know what it looks like now, after the money ran out and the friends disappeared, and the life you were going to build on your own terms turned into something you never intended. I know the pig pen. I know what it smells like and what it feels like to be there. And I know the specific shame of realizing that the life you ran toward has become worse than the one you ran from. You did not find this message by accident. I have been watching the road. I have been watching it every single day since you left. And I have been watching it with the specific attentiveness of a father who cannot stop looking in the direction his child walked away in. Not with anger. Not with a list of grievances being carefully maintained. Not with the cold distance of someone who has written you off because of what you have done and where you have been. With longing. With the specific, patient, undiminished love of a parent who wants their child to come home more than they want anything else, and who is willing to wait as long as it takes for the moment they see them on the horizon. I need to say something to you right now that I need you to hear before anything else. You can come home. Not someday, not after you have cleaned yourself up, not after you have found a way to make up for what you wasted or repaid the damage you have done. Now, today, in the condition you are currently in, from the place you are currently standing, with everything you have done still fresh and unresolved. You can come home. The door has not been locked. The welcome has not been withdrawn. The place that was yours has not been given to someone else. You can come home, and when you do, I will not be standing at the door with a list of your failures. I will be running. I will be running toward you before you have finished the speech you have been rehearsing, and the robe and the ring and the celebration will be ready before you have had a chance to wonder whether you deserve them. I also want to speak to those of you who have not left in the obvious ways, who have not walked away from faith or family or the life you were supposed to live, but who have drifted, who are technically present but inwardly somewhere else, who have maintained all the external markers of the life you are supposed to be living, while something essential has quietly departed. The far country is not always a geographic location. Sometimes it is an internal distance, a place where the heart has gone that the body has not followed. And the return I am speaking about is available to you too. Not just to the prodigal who ran, but to the one who stayed and slowly became a stranger to themselves and to me in the process. So, stay here with me. I know that shame makes this difficult. The shame of where you have been, the shame of what you have done, the shame of what it will look like to turn around and walk back toward the thing you so definitively walked away from. I know the fear that the return will be met with judgment rather than welcome, that the people you left will use your return as an opportunity to remind you of everything you did wrong. I cannot promise you that every person will respond the way I respond. But I can promise you this, my response will be the one that matters most, and my response is already settled. I have already decided what to do when I see you coming. And it is not what you are afraid of. My child, I want to speak now about how you got here, not to rehearse the failures, not to add to the shame you are already carrying, but because understanding the journey is part of what makes the return real, rather than just a desperate move born of having run out of options. I want you to see your own story with the clarity and the compassion that I see it with, because the way you understand where you have been will shape how you receive where you are going. Most people who end up in the far country did not plan to go there. The distance was accumulated gradually, a series of small steps, each one seeming reasonable or necessary or simply irresistible in the moment, that added up over time to a distance that would have seemed impossible to the person who took the first step. The first compromise that seemed minor. The first relationship that took you in a direction you knew was not right, but that you did not turn away from. The first time you chose what you wanted in the moment over what you knew you were called to, and the discovery that the consequences were less immediate than you had feared, which made the second time easier. This is how most people arrive in the far country. Not with a dramatic declaration of departure, with small incremental movements away from home that eventually add up to a very long distance. I also want to speak to those of you who left not because of moral failure, but because of pain. Who walked away from the faith, the community, the life you were living, not because you chose something else, but because something happened that made staying feel impossible. The church that wounded you. The belief that collapsed under the weight of suffering that it could not explain. The community that failed to show up when you needed it most. The prayers that went unanswered in a crisis that demanded an answer. These are real reasons to have gone, and I am not dismissing them. The far country is full of people who went there not because they were rebellious, but because they were hurt. And hurt that is not healed seeks distance. I see you in that category too. And the coming home I am describing is as available to you as to anyone. I want to speak to the moment the prodigal came to himself. The moment in the pig pen when he finally stopped, looked around at where he was, and allowed himself to see it clearly. That moment of clarity is one of the most important moments in a person's story. It is the moment when the denial that has been sustaining the journey in the far country finally gives way to the truth of where the journey has led. And I want to say something about that moment. I am in it. That moment of clarity, of seeing clearly, of coming to yourself, of allowing the truth of your situation to be exactly as stark as it actually is. That is not just a psychological event. That is me. I am the one who breaks through the fog of self-deception and lets a person see their situation truly, because I know that seeing truly is the first step toward coming home, and bringing people home is the thing I most want to do. I also want to speak to those of you who are not yet at the pig pen moment, who are still in the earlier stages of the far country, still finding ways to make it work, still not quite ready to admit that where you are is not where you are supposed to be. I am speaking to you, too. Not with condemnation, not with a demand that you return immediately before you are ready, but with an invitation to let the truth get a little closer than you have been allowing it. To let yourself notice what the far country is actually costing you beneath the surface of whatever it is still offering. To let the question arise honestly, is this the life I actually want? Because the moment you let that question be fully asked, the return becomes possible in a way it was not before. Finally, I want to speak to the shame that accumulates in the far country, because it is one of the primary things that prevents the return. The longer you are away, the more has accumulated, the choices, the failures, the ways you have changed that you are not sure can be undone. The things you have done that you are not sure can be forgiven. And the shame whispers, it is too late now. You have gone too far. You have done too much. The home you left would not recognize you anymore, and would not want you if it did. My child, I recognize you. I have always recognized you. And I want you exactly as you currently are. Not after the cleanup, not after the restitution, but now, today, in the condition the far country has left you in. I want to speak now to the specific lies that keep people in the far country long after they have realized they want to come home. Because the distance between wanting to return and actually returning is often maintained not by genuine desire to stay, but by a set of beliefs about what the return would look like that make it feel impossible or not worth the risk. I want to name those lies and dismantle them. The first lie is that you have gone too far to come back. That the distance you have traveled, the things you have done in the far country, the ways you have changed, these have placed you outside the reach of return. That there is a point of no return in the spiritual life, a threshold beyond which grace does not reach and welcome does not extend. My child, there is no such threshold. There is no distance that my love cannot cover. There is no depth that my grace cannot reach. The prodigal in the story did not come home because he had managed to stay close enough to home for return to be possible. He had gone as far as it is possible to go. He had wasted everything, ended up in the worst place, lost every external marker of who he had been. And still the father ran. The distance you have traveled is not greater than the reach of my love. I promise you that. The second lie is that you will have to earn your way back. That the return requires a period of probation, a sufficient demonstration of change, an adequate repayment of what was wasted before the welcome is genuine. And so you keep putting off the return until you have something to show, until you have cleaned up enough, improved enough, become enough of the person you think you need to be before you can show your face. But the prodigal did not earn his way back. He came as he was, from where he was, with exactly nothing to offer, and the father did not make him demonstrate worthiness before running to meet him. The return does not require preparation. It requires only the turning. The third lie is that everyone will remember and use your time in the far country against you. That the return will be greeted not with welcome but with judgment. That the people you left will see your return as an opportunity to rehearse everything you did wrong. That you will be forever marked by where you have been. That forgiveness will be offered in a form that is really a leash rather than a genuine release. I want to be honest with you. Some people will respond this way. The older brother in the story did. There are people in every community who struggle to celebrate the return of the one who went away, because it raises uncomfortable questions about the fairness of grace. But I am not those people. And I am asking you not to allow the anticipated response of the older brothers in your life to keep you from the response of the Father, which is the only response that ultimately matters. The fourth lie is that you do not actually deserve to come back. That the return is presumptuous, that it asks too much of grace, that you have disqualified yourself from the welcome through the specific and deliberate nature of your departure. The prodigal did not return because he felt he deserved to. He returned because he was desperate, and the home he had left had something the far country could not provide. And the father's response was not conditioned on whether the return was deserved. It was conditioned on love, and love does not deal in deserving. If grace required deserving, it would not be grace. Come not because you deserve to. Come because you are desperate, and I am the one who has what you need. The fifth lie is that the return has to be dramatic and complete before it is valid. That you cannot take a partial step back. That you cannot come home while still uncertain. That you must have everything resolved and your theology sorted and your life in order before the homecoming is real. But the prodigal took one step, not 1,000. He turned around, he started walking, he rehearsed a speech, and the father was already running before the speech was finished. The completeness of the return is not your responsibility to achieve before you start. It is what happens as you walk toward home, with me coming to meet you while you are still a long way off. My beloved, I want to speak now about what actually happens when you come home, what the return looks like from my side, what I do and what I feel and what I have prepared. Because the vision of the homecoming matters, and I want you to have a clear and true picture of it. The first thing that happens is that I see you coming. I want you to understand this. The father in the story saw his son while he was still a long way off. This is not a detail. This means the father was watching the road. This means that every day since the son left, the father had been looking in the direction the son had gone, hoping for the moment he would see a figure on the horizon that looked like his child. I have been watching the road for you. Every day you have been in the far country, I have been watching in your direction. And the moment you turn toward home, the moment the first genuine turning begins in your heart, I see it. Before you have taken a step, I see the turning. And I run. The second thing that happens is that I run. The father in the story did not wait at the gate with dignified composure for his son to arrive and make his case. He ran. A father in the ancient world did not run. It was considered undignified. He ran anyway because dignity was not the point. His child was coming home, and he was not going to stand at a composed distance while that was happening. This is me. I do not wait for you to get all the way home and present yourself at the door. The moment you turn, I am already moving toward you. The distance closes from both sides simultaneously, you walking toward me and me running toward you. And I will reach you long before you expect it. The third thing that happens is that I embrace you before you can speak. The father fell on his son's neck and kissed him before the son had said a single word of his prepared speech. Before the confession, before the explanation, before the demonstration of remorse, the embrace came first. I want you to understand what this means. My response to your return is not conditioned on your speech. I am not waiting to hear what you have to say before deciding how to receive you. The embrace is already decided. The welcome is already prepared. You do not need to convince me or explain yourself or demonstrate adequate repentance before I hold you. I hold you first. The rest can come later. The embrace comes first. The fourth thing that happens is that I restore everything. The robe, the ring, the shoes, each of these is a restoration of the identity and the dignity and the belonging that the far country stripped away. The robe covers the rags of the far country. The ring restores the authority of sonship. The shoes mark the distinction between a servant and a son. I do not welcome you back as a hired servant with limited status and conditional standing. I welcome you back as my child, with full restoration of everything that your identity in me entails. The far country does not get to permanently define you. I define you. And my definition is restoration, not diminishment. The fifth thing that happens is that there is a celebration. The best robe, the fattened calf, music and dancing, not a quiet private reunion, but a party. Because the return of someone who was lost is one of the great occasions in my kingdom, and I respond to it as the occasion it is. There is more joy in heaven over one person who comes home than over the 99 who never left. Your return matters to me. It moves heaven. And the welcome I am preparing for you is not a subdued provisional, let us see how this goes reunion. It is a feast. Come home. The table is already set. My beloved child, I want to speak now about what waits for you on the other side of return, the life that is available when you have come home and been received and begun the process of living, not in the far country, but in the presence of the Father. Because the return is not the end of the story. It is the beginning of a chapter that the far country could never have offered you. The life on the other side of return is characterized first by a freedom that the far country promised but never delivered. The far country offers the appearance of freedom, freedom from expectation, from accountability, from the demands of relationship with me. But the freedom it delivers is the freedom of the person with nothing left to lose, which is not freedom at all. It is a different kind of prison. The freedom I give on the other side of return is the genuine article, the freedom of a person whose identity is settled, whose belonging is secure, whose future is held in my hands. The freedom to be fully yourself, without the exhaustion of maintaining the performance of the far country. The freedom to rest. The life on the other side of return is also characterized by a depth of understanding that people who never left do not always have. The prodigal who returned knew things about the Father's love that the older brother who stayed had never had to learn. He knew the taste of the far country. He knew the difference between the pig's food and the Father's table. He knew what it had cost to come home and what the welcome had been worth. And that knowledge made the love more vivid, the gratitude more genuine, the relationship more real than it might have been without the journey. I am not saying the far country was worth it. I am saying that I am able to use even the far country to produce something in the person who returns that becomes a distinctive gift. The returned prodigal becomes a testimony that only someone with their specific history can offer. I also want to speak about what the life on the other side of return looks like in practical terms, because I want to make it as real and as concrete as possible. It looks like waking up in the morning without the specific dread that the far country produces, the dread of where you are and what you have become and how far you have drifted. It looks like a growing sense of being genuinely known and genuinely loved that is different from anything the far country offered, because it is based on truth rather than on performance. It looks like the gradual, non-linear, often 2 steps forward, 1 step back process of becoming the person I always intended you to be. Not the person you performed in order to seem acceptable, but the actual you, growing into the fullness of what I made. I want to speak to those of you who have tried to come home before and found the return complicated, who attempted to re-enter the faith or the community or the life you left and found it harder than you expected, found that the welcome was more conditional than the parable suggested, that the older brothers were louder than the father, that the process of reintegration was painful and disorienting and left you wondering whether you had made a mistake by trying. I want to say to you, the difficulty of those attempts does not mean return is impossible. It means return is hard, and that hard things sometimes require more than one attempt. I am still watching the road. I am still ready to run. The previous attempts, however they ended, have not exhausted my willingness to welcome you. My beloved child, I want to close with the image that matters most, the image of the Father watching the road. Every day since you left, I have been there. In the morning, looking in the direction you went. In the evening, still watching, still hoping, still ready. And today, when something brought you to this message, when something made you stop and listen, something you that has not yet given up responded to the possibility of home, I saw it. I saw you still a long way off, and I am already running. I have been running since the moment you began to turn. And when I reach you, when the distance between us finally closes, it will not be a moment of judgment or interrogation or carefully metered grace. It will be an embrace. Complete. Unconditional. Undeserved and freely given. The embrace of a Father who has been waiting for exactly this moment, who has never stopped loving you, who has never stopped watching the road. Come home, my child. The robe is ready. The ring is ready. The feast is ready. The Father is running.